So I will be breaking the Deontay Wilder vs. Tyson Fury 3 undercard into 2 fights. There are 2 big undercard fights on there, both in the heavyweight division. One of them is the rematch between Robert Helenius and Adam Kownacki. No pun intended about Adam Kownacki. And the second one is F.A. Ajagba versus Frank Sanchez. Right now I'm going to cover the Robert Helenius versus Adam Kownacki rematch. Look, I've always been a fan of Robert Helenius' work, especially early in the 2010s, when he looked like to be a guy who could probably beat one of the Klitschkos. A lot of people are hyping him up before Derek Chisora went in there and kind of exposed him, because he went through Lehman Brewster and Samuel Peter much more dominant than Vladimir Klitschko did. Vladimir Klitschko lost to Lehman Brewster the first time, did take his revenge in a very, very lackluster fashion. And against Samuel Peter, the first time he was dropped 3 times, eked out a unanimous decision. Second time around, yeah, he beat him more dominantly. But against both fighters, it took Vladimir Klitschko 2 tries to go out there and beat them up. Where Robert Helenius, no, he pretty much dominated them. So today I'm going to cover that fight with a couple of the fights from the undercard. To be honest, the most fighter I'm intrigued of in the entire card, even more than Fury and Wilder, because Fury and Wilder, they're both near the late 30s. They got a couple years left in the game. I won't be shocked to see them both lose very soon, sooner rather than later. But there is a heavyweight on this card who you don't know. He could be the future of boxing. His name is Jared Anderson, also known as Big Baby. Not Big Baby Miller. This is a different Big Baby. Jared Dovin Anderson. He's only 21 years old. He's from Toledo, Ohio, not too far from where I stay. And he's already ranked in the top 50 on BoxRec 9 fights in. In his last fight, he beat Jeremiah Carpensy in 2 rounds. Well, he's fighting an undefeated, I believe, Ukrainian opponent. Nope, Russian. Vladimir Tereshkin. Vladimir Tereshkin has an undefeated record of 22 wins, no losses, 1 draw. Looking at his BoxRec right now, he hasn't beaten anyone of note before. I want to see if he's been dropped before in his career. Because BoxRec, if you guys don't know, they tell you if the guy's been dropped before or not. It's not showing me he's been dropped before. He did have a unanimous draw with Adnan Serene. Adnan Serene was a tough journeyman back in the day. He went 6 rounds with Mahmoud Char or Manuel Char. He gave Tony Thompson a decent fight before getting stopped. So he was a tough journeyman back in the day. But this was way back in the day. He's been retired for like a decade now. So this guy, this Russian fighter, I know he's had 23 fights, but he's been very inactive. He's only had 1 fight since 2017. Oh, he had He did not fight from 2013 up to 2016. He's been a very inactive fighter. Before that, he didn't fight in 2011. Oof, when did he debut, this guy? For a guy with 23 fights, he debuted back in 2007. So he's averaging like 1.5 fights per year, which isn't good. That's not active enough. Not active enough to be a guy like Jared Anderson. I know he's 6'6", undefeated, decent power. But Jared Anderson had his debut in October 2019. And he's already had 9 wins. All wins by knockout. So I expect Jared Anderson to show us again how good of a fighter he is. He's 6'4", 79-inch reach. He has the dimensions to be a good fighter. He has the dimensions to be a dominant heavyweight champion. Now we just got to go out there and see it. Because I think Jared Anderson will be a heavyweight champion in the world. I think Jared Anderson should fight a step-up fight next. Let's say he does beat this guy. Put him in there with a Kingpin Johnson. Put him in there with a Mahmoud Char, Manuel Char. Maybe put him there with Trevor Bryan. Maybe put him there with Bermern Stavern, Cristobal Arreola. Put him in there with a top fighter. I think he got the goods. So that's one fight. Also, on this card, super middleweight prospect Edgar Berlanga will return in a 10-round fight against Marcelo Esteban Coceres. This fight would be for the vacant NABO super middleweight title. So that's basically like the North American title for the WBO, a region title. This guy that he's fighting is a top 35 fighter on BoxRec at middleweight, not super middleweight. It says his last fight was at super middleweight, but he's had most of his career was at. Oh, I know who this guy is. No, I know who this guy is. He's the one that fought on the Logan Paul vs. KSI undercard against Billy Joe Sanders. Yeah, he gave Billy Joe Sanders a lot of trouble. 2 judges had him win the fight before getting knocked out. So this could prove to be a really good test for Edgar Berlanga. Edgar Berlanga, who went the full 8 rounds in his last fight. I think he dropped his opponent 4 times, but I thought that he showed signs of gassing. Edgar Berlanga has a lot of potential, has a lot of power, has a lot of speed, very explosive. But you got to take it step by step with this guy. Don't rush him into anything. Now, let's get to Robert Helenius versus Adam Kownacki. Again, no pun intended about Adam Kownacki. So, the first fight was a very dominant performance for Robert Helenius. As I said, Robert Helenius has beaten former champion Samuel Peter, Lamont Brewster. He's been beaten by Gerald Washington. He's beaten former heavyweight contender Akon Tepper. He went 12 rounds with Dylan White. And if any of you guys remember, he did hurt Dylan White in that fight. Who else has he beaten? He's been knocked out by Johan Duhaupas. He beat prospect at the time, Franz Rill. Dropped him twice. He's beaten Michael Spratt before. He's beaten Sherman Williams. He had a controversial victory over Derek Chisora. Almost everyone thought Derek Chisora won that fight. He also beat former heavyweight champion Serhij Lukahovic in 9 rounds. He beat Samuel Peter in 9 rounds. He beat Lamont Brewster in 8. He beat, at the time, undefeated heavyweight contender Gregory Tony in 6. So he has a good resume. In my opinion, a much better resume than his opponent, Adam Kownacki. But ever since he got injured in 2013 and came back, he hasn't been the same fighter. He's looked slower. But guess what? Behind Deontay Wilder, I think Robert Helenius is the hardest puncher. And it's not just that. Like, I've seen him in several fights knock guys out with a jab. So he's a very dangerous fighter. I've seen him sparring with Deontay Wilder. So he's clearly giving Deontay Wilder good rounds. What do I think is going to happen in this fight? I just think Robert Helenius has Adam Kownacki's number. In my opinion, I thought Adam Kownacki got completely dominated. It was not a competitive fight, in my opinion. Adam Kownacki, his resume is he's beaten Cristobal Arreola, he's beaten Gerald Washington. He went for the full 2 rounds with Arreola. He knocked out Washington in 2 rounds. He beat Charles Martin in a controversial fight, in my opinion, because I thought Charles Martin did enough to win, or maybe eked out a draw. He beat a former never mind. Think about the wrong guy. He's beaten Arthur Spilka on 4 rounds. He has a decent resume. Nothing too crazy. If I had to bet, or let's say gun to my head who I think wins, I think Robert Helenius wins again. I just think he has his number. Maybe this time it goes 6 or 7 rounds, but I think we're going to get the same exact result. Robert Helenius win. I could be wrong. Most likely I am wrong, but I just see Robert Helenius win this fight. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I am going to do a part 2 for the undercard. It's going to cover Frank Sanchez and Effie Jagba's fight. Also, a certain former unified and lineal champion will also make his return on the card. Stay tuned for that one.